What happens when battle doesn't end after war? For Army veteran Keith Totten, the fight for survival didn't stop when he came home. It just changed. This is a story of how one man went from combat to compassion, starting a movement to help veterans heal from PTSD and ultimately find hope and purpose through faith in Christ.
2023 is one of the worst years that I believe in my life.
What happened in 2023 that you say is the worst period of your life?
Yeah. So, my God.
Hey friends, thank you so much for joining us today on Untrained Philosophical Discussionist. My name's Jonny Hanson. Right there's my good buddy Andy Lamb. As you can see, we're in the interview space and we have a great guest today. I'm going to read you his bio and we're going to get started here. Keith Totten is an Army veteran, served as a mechanized infantryman from 1994 to 2003. Keith founded One Team, One Fight for PTSD in 2014 to support veterans struggling with PTSD. A dedicated father and a Christian, Keith is committed to helping veterans find hope and healing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our friend, my friend, Keith Totten.
Thank you
Keith,
very much.
Thanks for joining us, brother.
Thank you so very much.
Brother. Glad you're here, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so good to have you.
Thank you, guys.
Keith and I met, for everyone else to get a little context here. Keith goes to the same gym I go to, tiny little gym in a little city in Central Florida. And Keith's an intimidating guy to work out with. He works out very hard. And I had seen you so many different times, like really, I mean, when Keith works out, he's fully sweaty. He goes after it. That's right. And he runs on the treadmill like he's running to chase down, running from the devil. It's himself. And I was intimidated right away. And then I heard you talking to one of the other gentlemen that we speak with from time to time there about something that I thought I had a little piece in. And I came up to talk to you, and turns out Keith's a gentle giant. That's right. He's just such a nice guy, and he had just a peace about him, and we ended up having a great conversation. We've done lunch a few different times and hung out and really enjoyed each other, and I got to know his story and his coming to faith, and really that's where we connected deeply. And I said, we got to get this guy in here, Andy. Andy conceded that was a good idea, and here we are.
Conceded pretty quickly, man.
Yeah, so
these
thank
are
you
the
again.
stories we want to share with people of guys who have been through some stuff in life, and then Jesus comes in and rescues them, and that's the story.
That's it.
Right? That's the hope that we have for people, because this world says it has a lot to offer for all the struggles we have through in life, but for whatever reason, people just continue to go deeper and deeper into it, and then when they find Jesus and come alive, man, that's you have an exciting story, and I can't wait for people to hear it.
Well said.
Yeah.
I like that.
Did you say you went into the military in 96?
Oh, 94.
94.
Yeah.
There was like really no conflicts. Sure, Desert Storm comes up here
91,
in
92.
91.
Yeah, early 90s.
But you're already beyond that. So there's no conflicts, generally speaking, happening. What prompted you to go into the military?
Well, we had through, I say we as far as a nation, we had an operation in Somalia, actually in Mogadishu.
Right, that's a Black Hawk Down is
Black
the movie
Hawk Down.
based on that.
Yes.
Sure.
So that mission went haywire. It became into a firefight, and they televised it. And they televised after the Black Hawks went down, the Somalians were dragging one of our pilots naked through the streets.
Yep.
And I wasn't expecting to see something like that, in real life. I see movies, but I've never saw anybody do something like that to one of our own. So that geared me up. And I actually went down to the recruiter's office. So I went into the delay entry program in 93 because I was a fat boy. That's why I said I only did like 3 years of football. My fourth year was going into the delay entry program, running, push-ups, sit-ups, so I was preparing myself for basic training. And
was there anybody joining you in that, any of your pals? Your good buddy?
Yeah, I mean, we had, once I when I was in my senior year, I went into diverse training corporation, or DCT. So we work half of the day, go to school, half of the day, and the majority of the students that were in that class went into Marine Corps. Mostly, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 students went into Marine Corps. Nobody went with me.
In the Army?
No, nobody. Everybody went Marine Corps. I think maybe like Navy. I think somebody else was like a Navy, maybe 1 or 2 Navy, but nobody went into the Army. Everybody went Marine Corps, and my dad just did not want me going in there for whatever reason. So
whatever conflict he had when he was in service.
Yeah,
right,
sure. Because that's exactly where I would have gone. I would have gone in infantry. I would have gone to Parris Island, South Carolina, and done that. But I'm glad because I love running now, but I hated back then. To run 2 miles was like a century for me. My first 2 miles was like almost over 19 minutes, honestly. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah.
But when I got done with basic, I was running like 12-minute miles or 12-minute 2 miles,
Sure.
but
Jeez Louise, man.
But Marine Corps is running 3 miles minimum. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got no time for 3 miles, man. That's a lot. I mean, I give them all the credit, man. I love all my service brothers and sisters, man. But yeah, that's just
that ain't you. No.
You know what I mean? I was like, if I got to run 3 miles straight to somewhere, we are in trouble. But you know what I mean? But then again, they Somalians, the Rangers, man. I think they ran like 5 miles out of that city back to the base because they didn't have enough transport vehicles to take them all back, and of course they weren't airlifting
Things
anybody.
were getting shot down, and
man.
It was very
so
dangerous
they ran that whole, full gear.
So that's what inspired you to go in.
Yes.
When you initially went in, what were your thoughts of being in the military?
That was interesting because it was the first time I was kind of like on my own. In a sense.
Okay.
As being in basic training, you're kind of like led everywhere. You don't have a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
So
everything's very organized.
Yes. And you can go here, you can't go here. You can go here, you can't go here.
Show up at this
time
place
frames,
at this time.
go to bed at this time.
Absolutely.
So when you're in the, once you pass that and you go into your first base, you're like, wow, look at all this freedom. I can drive anywhere. I can go to sleep anytime I want. I can eat whatever I want. So even in the military, the transition from basic to regular Army or regular service is just it's amazing how much freedom and how much you think back like, wow, man, all that I'd gone through, that those phases where I was strict to eat this, I had to go to bed here, I only had this much time to do this. It puts a different perspective on life itself. Even still being in the military, like, wow, man, like I can be that strict on my body that I can allow myself to be on time, eat good, exercise regularly.
Yeah.
And those things come into play still,
You created some disciplines
years.
For your life doing them. I think that's one of the
Well,
greatest
you also
parts about the military.
you also seen like the outcome of what discipline provides for you. So as you are more disciplined, you get good results.
Yes. Yes.
So then that fortifies that message inside of your brain to like lock that in. If I would like to change something, here's the order of operations to go about to see that change.
Yeah, that's good. Are there anything, as you look back at your service, anything that was prideful for you as far as like some accomplishments that you had while you were within service?
Oh, sure. We did a lot of charity work as well. We did a lot of things for the Special Olympics throughout my military career. We also did burials. So I think the burial was one of the biggest things because I never saw death in that sense. I personally never had to bury anybody up to that date. So to see the families and stuff like that and how they, reacted, seeing what they had accomplished, these service members that we were burying, like, wow, man, what an honor that I was chosen,
to be a part of this.
To be a part of this, be a pallbearer, and put this man, to rest or woman to the rest. So that was to me, that was a great honor, one of the greatest honors.
There's a picture up there of a fella named John. He was a World War II service member, and he died last year. And
sorry to hear that.
both myself and Andy were asked to be pallbearers at his funeral.
Yeah.
And it was a immense honor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, neither one of us served.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
And to be invited, we just really liked. He was a very old man. He was 98. He's a very old guy. We just thought he was the greatest. We'd always chat with him whenever he came in.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very funny man. He was starting to
His
show
dementia.
signs of
Get of
dementia.
age. Yeah.
But he would still just say clever, funny little things, and we just loved hanging out with them. And his wife, who's also very old, just really thought that in this last stage of his life, we were two guys that played an important role for him, just being kind to him.
Right.
And we got invited, man. It's one of the honors of my entire life.
Yeah,
That's
that's
It was
fantastic.
like so special. So we throw his picture up there and honor him that way. So we
Thank you
totally
for that.
can relate
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
to what that feels like.
Yeah.
Where was your first station at? After you were trained up and ready to go, where'd they send you?
In 96, I think it was June. Yeah, June of 96, we went over to Kuwait, and we were over on the Udori range doing fire missions. I think we were about maybe 2 months in, and Saddam started pushing forces towards the border. So we had ships out that were throwing Tomahawk missiles. We had air defense. We were popping from where we were, more of just a deterrent. See, we weren't trying to, harm anybody. We're just like, yo, we're here.
Yeah. Let 'em
You know what I
you're
mean?
around.
Like, yo, what's up? So we played with that for. It started in September. That lasted all the way until right about December time frame, because I didn't get back until 97. January 97 is when I got back across the pond. So we did that. That was good. That was
When you're that far away and there is some sort of potential conflict,
yeah.
do you feel anxious for something more to happen, or does it feel like, what's kind of the mentality
That's a good
in that
question.
space? You're throwing live rounds downrange.
Yeah, right.
Well, they've also been training you for this. So it's
Yeah.
like, do I want to use my training now?
Yeah. Well, training we always use. Well, we have to use live rounds wherever we go. So since the beginning, basic training, when we train like 60s, 80s. Actually, that's all we had was light infantry. So we had different types of mortars. The sizes. So.
Yep.
60s and the 81s were just more like just light infantry guys, but even then, live rounds, boom, 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 boom. So to transition, smooth as butter.
Are you feeling anxious though, like this could pop off into a live event here in this space, or are you just thinking, are you being told from the top down, like this, we're just letting them know we're here, nothing's going to happen? Do you feel anxious for something to happen? Are you looking for
Oh, sure.
the
Yeah.
fight?
Well, yeah. Well, when you're being a mortarman, we're in between the lead force and artillery in the back of the force. So
Yep.
we're kind of like right in there. Like I said, like when artillery's throwing, like we can hear them, far off. They're going like, I don't know, man,
Right over the top of
20
your heads.
miles out with their rounds.
Yeah.
We're only going 3 to maybe 6 miles. So in the desert, I mean, you can see splashes when we're firing.
Of
We can
course.
see where they're landing in a good area, in a good open area. But Udori range is perfect because we can practically see what we're doing and where they're landing. Yeah, the transition into it was okay. Where my stress level was making sure that each round was where, because in training, you have FOs, you have forward observers that kind of like grid to make sure, like, all right,
You're hitting where you're supposed to.
you got, you're like, you're 100 meters out, you got to bring it in, box it in. So when something real comes in, like there's no time for, inaccuracy. So you have to make sure like everything's leveled, all your directions are right, your tube. I mean, everything is just, it's it's a lot of stress.
Is
You're not stressing about what's coming in.
Yeah.
You're stressing about like what's going on here to make sure you're effective enough to make sure that you can assist other people, because if something dies here, we're kind of
somebody
like,
can get hurt downrange.
well, that or just get hurt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because when you're down, when your system's down, you're down. I mean, yeah, you have small arms, but your main force, what deters people from coming around you, is the mortar. So,
Were you guys taking any fire at that time? And was Saddam's guys throwing stuff back?
we could hear it in the distance. Oh yeah, I mean, because they had Bradleys out there, they had A1s out there, and you can hear them going back and forth, boom, 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 boom. But they're kind of like in a distance where I can't really see it. So if they're taking it, if we can hear it, I mean, unless they were throwing volleys, in between. So yeah, that's also one of the good things about being that is we're being light wise, because when you're being heavy, when you're light, you're a little bit more closer, because the 60s and 81s, they don't go as far. They're just kind of like a little pop rocket, like boom.
Yeah.
Being 60s at least, but you're usually with a lot of usually with like an infantry outfit, 11 Bravos. You usually have like a mortarman.
In that time frame where you guys were doing this, was this a daily thing you guys were? I mean, every day you're going out there firing mortars at them as deterrents?
Yeah. Well, no, I apologize. We would stay ready. We would have our tracks in the ready at all times. We would move. So we would have to break down a lot and then set up, break down, set up, fire, wait, break down, move, because the force is always they're always adjusting. So there could be times where there's nothing going on. There'll be times where there's about like an hour, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours worth of just constant, not mortar fire, but just constant, just in that
Action.
in that action. So it's up and it can be down. I'm just like life, man, I guess. Yeah. But
So you do this for 4 months. December, where do you go after that?
so I'm not quite sure what month it was, but 98, I ended up getting orders to go to Camp Casey, Korea, and
That's far and different. What was it like being there?
my first outing in Korea was not great, because as soon as I got to my unit, it was right in the middle of the monsoon season. So 98 had a really bad monsoon, and it flooded a couple of the cities, and we ended up going out and helping the victims. But what we didn't know, about maybe a week into it, that we'd be pulling bodies out of the mud. So that was the first part of my time where I got to see a dead person. Kids, mostly older people, but we did have a couple kids. We actually had 2 soldiers, 2 of our recovery guys got trapped in that mudslide as well, and lost their life.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it's on the news, you guys. That's the other thing too, is that what I come to realize, that there's so many things that happen in this world that you can partake in, and you think it's the most biggest news in the world. And I call my dad back home of what's going on. He's like, oh, don't even hear
Never
anything
heard
about it, man.
Sure.
Like, we were pulling bodies out of this mud. Like, we have backhoes, digging, trying, like just scraping, just trying to find
there's
bodies.
thousands of people missing. How do you not know this? And it doesn't get over here.
So I think there was over 200 people that had passed during that monsoon season. But it definitely opened my eyes. I think it just gave me a concept of just like, just how easy life can just be 1 minute here and the next. I think just Korea, in a sense, just opened my eyes. Like, I may never go home.
You talked about it not being on the news too. We just put out a video about, you know, all this stuff happening in Nigeria too, like these people being massacred, and we get nothing of it here.
Right.
Yeah, there's over
Right.
100,000 people, Christians, have been murdered in Nigeria in the last, what was it, 14 years?
Yeah.
And we don't know anything about it here in America. Nobody talks about it. It's not on any of the news stations. And we did a video on it because we really wanted to highlight, like, these are our brothers and sisters over here just being slaughtered for their beliefs.
Yeah.
In a conversation you and I had recently, I think you said Korea was really the first time you ever attempted to open a Bible
Oh, right.
and try to read the Bible at all. And can you tell us a little bit about that? What drew you to want to even open the Bible? Was there an event, or was it around any sort of events that kind of drew you into saying, well, let me see if there's anything here for me?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. So part of that was my re-entry into knowing who my mom was, because we before I graduated, there was in my senior year, I got to spend the summer with my mom up in Rhode Island, where she was living at the time, and very big into religious. Her husband was Portuguese, very religious family background there. You know.
Oh, so it was kind of maybe your way of picking up the Bible was maybe a way of connecting with who she is now.
Yeah, well, I mean, she'd always tell me, she would tell me, about Bible, about things in the Bible.
Okay.
She never really told me to pick up the Bible, but during that monsoon is right about the time that I had. It wasn't my Bible. It just ended up in my room. I shared a room with another guy, and I know it wasn't his. But it didn't have a name on it. But it was a military. And the CQ guy could have came by and put it in everybody's room. He had keys to everybody's room. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't mine or his. But it ended up there, and I was like, oh. So I picked it up.
What a divine
thing
that happened for you.
Picked it up, and I started reading, and I was like, wow, check this out. Okay. And I maybe got, I can't recall. I maybe got like a chapter or two into it, and I was like, I ain't got time for this. You know what I mean? I mean, it was heavy.
Yeah.
Genesis is heavy.
You opened it up. You started at Genesis.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know the Bible. All I knew was of the Bible.
We talk about that frequently. It's like what people don't recognize is the Bible is a library of a bunch of different books.
Exactly. Yes.
And if you try to just pretend, or if you're unaware and you just read it like you would any other book, you start at the beginning.
Yep.
Right. And you work your way through.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's fortunate once you get to understand what the Bible is, that it is put in the order that it's in. But if you're, newly affiliated, it really helps to start in the middle.
Right.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And you'll start to eat all throughout that kind of the New Testament. It connects a lot more. It's written more in a way where I think we can identify as, 21st century individuals, how a book is written. And it's contextualized that way. You then jump back into the Old Testament, and it's a very foreign way to write. It's a very foreign way to read and visualize.
Sure.
And it's only kind of in reading the New Testament that you're able to better understand the Old Testament. But as a guy that picks up the Bible, and if there's nobody there guiding you, it can be very confusing.
Yeah. Heavy. Very heavy.
When you get out of Korea, what happens next in your career?
Man. So, 97, I told you we went back into National Training Center.
Okay.
During one of those ops, we were doing a night op, and I was up on this hill. This LPLP is Lookout Point, occupational point. And we got the 50 cal. We're waiting for, we're waiting for the opposing team to come through, and we're just going to start lighting them up with the 50 cal. But I mean, we're up on this ledge.
And this is a simulation training?
Yeah, simulation training. We have a tripod, a 50, just a lot of heavy stuff, man. And we have these rubber boots in our mop level or chemical suits. So didn't put two and two together. Rocks are slippery. Boom, I hit a rock. I fall like 40, 50 feet straight down the side of the mountain.
Oh, wow.
So I get airlifted to the hospital. My back is all, it's not bad. It's not, like where they have to do surgery, but, it's just.
You're jacked up.
Yeah. It's just, you could see where, where I landed.
You fell 40, 50 feet down the hill, bro. You're hurt.
If you weren't, I'd be pretty
shocking.
pissed.
So they had put me on this ridiculous profile where I couldn't do sit-ups. You know what I mean? It was legit. I couldn't do sit-ups because it took forever to heal, but it just never healed right, man. So it kept me from doing, my physical fitness tests. That landed me into going to Korea with a profile, and I didn't tell them about the profile. I was supposed to, but I wasn't even supposed to be in Korea. So when I got out, Korea sent me to the med board because I had found out that I had a P3 profile towards the latter end of my service time there when they were going through my records, and then which I got in trouble for because you're supposed to tell them that you have, because that could be,
You could be putting other people in danger.
Yeah, true. That's true. I didn't really even think about that part. Just more of a training assets of, like you're not going to be valuable if you're broken.
Sure,
so,
of course.
So they ended up sending me to a med board. So they sent me back to Fort Hood. I actually was stationed at the med board at Fort Hood, which was great because it was so familiar for me.
Okay.
Because I started my
Already
station
spent some time there. Yeah.
But they were so stacked up that they ended up transferring me over to another line unit, which was 3-8, which was right next door to 1-9 Cav. So it was just
right next to your people.
Yeah, man. I got some of them had left, but a lot of the mortar platoon were still there. So it was great, man. It took 99. So it took them almost 3 years, 4 years to get me out. But through that time, did a lot of good things, man. We trained a lot of soldiers throughout that time. I headed up a gym, Grey Wolf Gym. I was like the head, I don't know, whatever you call it, the head person there. So I'd open up the gym. I'd work out all the time. That's where I would be, the gym all the time. So I think for like right about almost my last year into the service, that's what I was just doing. I was like a rear detachment, opened up the gym, closed the gym.
How was your military experience on like your mental, emotional well-being? How did it play a role in issues with PTSD that you experience?
Good question. When I was through it all, being as young as I was and coming up as I did, I didn't see there being, at the time, I didn't see there being any adjustment to my life to where I would have to be like, this has messed me up, man. I just took it as, like a life lesson, like, wow, okay, don't hang yourself.
Yeah, but you and I have talked about this. It's the fact that you were a mortar guy meant you put your head right next to a loud boom, a concussion blast, thousands of times.
Yeah.
And that's rattling that brain around in your head pretty heavily for thousands and thousands and thousands of times.
Yeah, sure. It takes a impact, and back then, like post-traumatic stress disorder didn't come around until like 1981. So there was no cure for it. It's been going on. There's been letters from like the Civil War. Probably I don't even know about revolutionary, but I know there's letters from the Civil War of how these soldiers were trying to adjust back into civilian life.
Yep.
And you get into World War I.
Called it shell shock.
Shell shock, yes. World War II, you get into there. Korea, Vietnam. So you have all these generations gone through war, and not one person was being helped. And it was bad. Like there's film. If you really digest yourself into looking about post-traumatic stress and
Sure.
war and the syndromes that come out of that, they date back a long time.
Absolutely.
And it's sad that it's taken them, till 1981 for the VA, should say VA. I mean, we've had mental counselors. Okay, so we've had psychiatrists and stuff like that have helped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the majority of them, I'm just assuming, didn't go to war. They don't know how war affects, these soldiers. So to try to treat something like that, you know what I mean? It's
Without
kind of
any
hard,
experience.
to understand what they're going through of being a traumatic incident of that sense. But, part of that, of what you're talking about, with the mortars, they're doing studies now about how bad it is with infantry units, and the concussions that we continue to have throughout that. But with that, there's also a part of just you forget things as well. The older you get, and then before I'd gotten out, 3 months before I had gotten out, they had the company that I was with, 38 Cav, had deployed to Fort Irwin to do their training out there, and during that time, I was on rear D, just take care of things that need to be taken care of for like soldiers that were over there, wives that needed things, stuff like that. But during that time, one of my buddies in the platoon sought after, outside his relationship, outside his marriage. Long story short, she come to find out, as soon as he came back, he threw a big party at his house, unbeknownst to me, that she knew about the other woman. But sadly, that night, before 5 of us left, she ended up taking her life. Went into the bedroom, closed the door.
His
boom.
wife.
Yes. So, kick in the door. She's sprawled out, 44 to her head, and it's.
You saw it?
Yeah.
How did this friend of yours react?
Art. I don't know, man. As soon as the door got kicked open, I think we just kind of like all sat in just amazement. Art was the first one, but I don't know what was going through his head. But he kind of grabbed her and was trying to slide things, like pushing it back into her head.
My God.
So we're trying to get him off of her, while not trying to get in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
So,
Scary.
well, the aftermath was more scarier because they were looking at us like,
What did you do?
Yeah, I mean, we went through the whole process, interrogation through, because it happened off post, so that's even more scarier because now we're dealing with
Local
Texas Rangers. We got local. We got
MPs.
counties. We got MPs. It was rough, man. Yeah, it was rough.
So those are the things you can't unsee.
Yeah, but even during that time, it was just something that I just took in. I didn't know how to process it. So everything that I'm going through,
Things are kind of happening. In
just
the
happening, and
sphere
I'm
of your
just
life.
soaking it all in. I don't know how to squeeze it. You know what I mean? Like it's a sponge. You know what I mean? Everywhere I go, it's continuously, just filling my sponge up, and it's getting to where I get out where it's just, it starts leaking because, it's just,
God, that's a great analogy.
I got too much going on in here. And, so afterwards, after that was all said and done, there, the chaplain, everyone's like, if you need, we can separate you, because of, what you saw. And I was like, I'm already getting separated, but, I appreciate it. And not that I've seen worse. Everything that I've seen in different places have all been different. It's not been like
Sure.
the same scenario, and stuff like that. But
it's accumulatively this horror that a lot of regular humans just don't run into. It's not a
it's
daily
not daily.
basis.
Yeah, it's not living
Monthly
in,
basis,
right.
yearly basis. You've seen, and that's a thing I think that's important to highlight here is you didn't have to go into a conflict zone to see, some of these terrible and tragic things happen in life.
Oh yeah.
And is that ever something that, as someone that was in the military and is now out of the military, you can run into other guys that come in and they were in a lot of military zones and their experience is different than yours. Are you finding yourself being able to relate to those guys and be useful in their lives as well as we kind of move into you starting your organization? Were there people around you that were struggling with PTSD? Had you already discovered that you kind of had some of these symptoms? What was kind of going on there?
Well, 6 months after we had gotten back from Kuwait/Iraq, because we did go into Iraq. We did go over that. We did pass that threshold into Iraq. So we were in that territory for a couple, say about 2.5 months. We were right on that border, man. But we were in Iraq. But 6 months after we had gotten back, the lieutenant driver ended up taking his life with a 12 gauge. Yeah. And I don't know what it was. I don't, what I mean? I don't know what he saw. I don't know what, what I mean? Because, we did see dead bodies over there, but they were in a distance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We saw, as we shifted positions, we saw things that, that transpired. You know what I mean? It just happens. We just kind of roll through, but we did see what, the aftermath of some things, and everyone holds that differently. They suppress it differently. What helps you with your, with whatever problems you're going through, you and I could have the same addictions, and what helps you may take 100 more times trying to find help for me.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all differently wired in that way. So I don't know what was going on with him, but 6 months into, redeploying back into the stateside, then he takes his life like that. But he's the one that made me start the organization. That he just had gone home and he never came back, man. And I don't know, man.
So you go about starting this organization.
I was riding with a motorcycle group at the time, a military, U.S. military vets motorcycle group, club, whatever, and through the years that I spent riding with them, we did a lot of outreach. We did a lot of good things in the community. Put a lot of things on, put a lot of runs on for disabled veterans, and through that, we've had a lot of other brothers die because they're all prior service men and women, and through motorcycle accidents, old age, life, happens, suicide, burying more brothers through that MC than I had, previously done in, honor guards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, as employment, I was working for the sheriff's department as well. And while I was with the sheriff's department is when I found out I had post-traumatic stress. I was living with the symptoms, but I didn't know what they were. So as I was on shift one day, I was talking to some inmates, and all of a sudden my heart starts racing for no apparent reason, and my eyes start just going dark. And I had to get myself out of, I thought I was just going to pass out. You can't pass out in that kind of a situation, man. So I was doing everything I could to just wake myself up, and I called, a supervisor to come meet me where I was at. And she rushed me, to the doctor. Doctor put EKG, was like, yo, man, you got to go to the hospital now. Run to the hospital, do all the stress tests, all those EKGs and stuff like that. And they thought they had saw something. So 30 years old, I'm getting a heart cath done, thinking I'm having a heart attack because my dad had like 2 prior heart attacks. They come to find out there was nothing wrong with me. I had a,
Panic attack.
yeah. So they say follow up with your doctor. So I tell my doctor I've saw since I was in middle school. What's going on, doc? Will you tell me what's going on? So I just tell him the symptoms. What had happened. What's going on with your life? So I just tell him, hey, this is what's going on. Still doesn't understand why I'm having them. It's like, were you just getting out of the military, right? What happened in there? So I'm like, man, what didn't happen in the military, bro? So he's like, I think you might have some post-traumatic stress. Have you been to the VA? And I'm like, nah, man, the VA is not for me. Because my dad said the VA is for people that, are amputees, that of age, that need stuff like that. I mean, I could walk, I could talk. I didn't, I had my doctor. I didn't need the VA for anything, even though that I got out on a military or a medical discharge. Because I thought in my head, like, they discharged me on a medical because of my back. They give me a small little severance pay, you know what I mean? And I finish up my GI Bill on the outside. But I thought that was it. I thought the VA was for service members that needed,
For physical injuries.
Yes, yeah. So I never once thought about that. So, bro, it took me 3, 9, 7 years to get into the VA there afterwards. And I still was shy, you know what I mean? I go to the VA and I tell them, hey, I'm having these incidents, and they're like, are you suicidal? It's the first thing out of their mouth. No, I'm not suicidal. I just need help of why my heart is racing like this. And then there's like, well, I think you might have had that prior to service. Nah, bro. I didn't have these panic attacks prior to service. But anyway, so they get me in to see a psychiatrist that's never been in combat, never been in this, never been in that kind of a situation before of what I've been in. And again, it doesn't even have to be, like I said, it doesn't even have to be combat. So we have, women that are sexually abused in the military. And I would hate to even know what that would even feel like, what I mean? Being where you can't be you're defenseless and you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I sit there.
So having a therapist that's at least can try to relate to you, you weren't receiving that.
No, through the VA, no.
Okay.
The VA is pretty much like the military. It's just take this, and let's see what happens. So,
medications.
Yeah.
So this organization, your friend sadly commits suicide.
Yeah.
And this was kind of the catalyst to you going, I've been struggling with some things, so you're recognizing that at least this is something you could have. What makes you think you can be helpful to others, and how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, it was a great question, because when I started this organization, that was the biggest thing on the top of my list for myself is, how do I help others when I am struggling myself?
Yeah.
My organization started with me ruck marching, and I'd ruck march 22 veterans a day were taking their lives to suicide. That is only what the VA tells you. Vehicular homicides, suicides that are covered up because of insurances. They're not part of that VA.
Do you want to talk about what that means to you with your motorcycle?
You want to go there now? Or?
We can.
Okay.
I think it's important since you just brought it up, the context.
Yeah, it kind of goes into one another, but because I was taking all that medication, and there was a point in time, it was 6 months after my father had passed away, so I was dealing with that as well. So I had gone to this mental health appointment, and nothing changed, man. Nothing. It was just the same old mill of how's the medication going for you? You need any adjustment? You want me to pump it up more? You need me, down it down notch? What do you need?
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm so tired, bro. You tell me what you think I need. And it was just, I was tired, man. I was just tired.
Yeah.
I didn't think, I was selfish. That day was just me. I was selfish that day because after I left that appointment, it wasn't until like maybe I got on my bike and thought about it. But it wasn't until I know certainly that when I was riding home on 42 from the villages to go home, I kept on thinking of Sons of Anarchy.
Yep.
So I was thinking of the last episode. Jack just kind of like, takes out with an 18-wheeler just. So I remember having that thought in my mind. I was like, you know what, man, I need to do a Jack. I'm done, man. I'm done with this life. I'm just over it, man. Knowing that I had a family at home, you know what I mean? I had a wife, I have a daughter, and none of that went in through my head, man. I was just selfish, and I was like, you know what? I know a perfect place, because it wasn't, I didn't want to make it look like I did it on purpose.
Yeah, you want to get those benefits
Well,
to
I had
still
a
go to
daughter
your
and
family.
stuff like that.
So there is that little component in the back of your head.
Yeah.
You're not thinking of what their feelings will be, but you are thinking about how can I continue to provide for them.
Yeah.
I understand.
So
I think that plays into the context.
Yeah.
That's why I bring it up. So continue.
So on 42, and I veer off to 450 to go home, and within maybe 500 yards, there's a switchback that goes to the left.
Mm-hmm. I know that road.
And there's like a little median. There's a nice little palm tree right there, man. So like if you go straight and if you don't veer off, you go right to the palm tree, and that's where I was heading.
What time of day was this?
Oh man, it was between noon and 2:00 in the afternoon. So I know because my appointment was at 11. So give
Midday.
or take that time, yeah. But when I got onto 450, it started raining, just lightly enough. So when I finally got on the straightaway to get to it, I got into the grass, and for whatever reason, my heel hit the heel brake. So the tire locked up, the back tire locked up, and it put me on my side. Bam. And I'm wearing exactly what I'm wearing now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sunglasses, but other than that, I'm wearing exactly what I'm wearing. And I get knocked out for a second. I come to enough to where my face is getting dragged in the dirt, and I see a DOT sign, and then I black out again. Wake up thinking I'm alive, because I see a car pass by me, and I can hear someone calling me by my road name. So I'm like, man, maybe I am dead. Maybe I'm really dead. So I look back, and there's a guy calling me for my road name. He's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I look down, and my bike's all jacked up. This DOT sign is just bent, like my whole face bent this sign. So I'm doing like 45, at least 50 when I hit this sign. Well, when I hit that medium, I'm doing that because I want to make sure that, I'm not coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did. And, broke my nose, broke my 2 front teeth. And I was so mad at myself, man. I was so mad because I couldn't even get that right.
Mm.
Now I have to live with the consequences. But the part of it is it's 2000. That happened 2017, July 30th, 2017. So I'm already in my organization.
So you're leading this organization to try to help
Veterans doing what I just tried to do.
Yeah, of course.
So it.
What happens right after that accident?
Oh yeah.
You go to the hospital.
No man. I picked up my bike. Well, the guy that was calling me, he helped me pick the bike up. I had a Geezer Glide, man, an Ultra Glide, man.
Sure, heavy bike.
heavy as hell. You know what I mean? So he helps me get up, man, and the fork is good enough. I mean, there's a crack in the top fork, but I mean, it's good enough to where I can ride. So I ride it all the way home. There's blood everywhere, man. I hit the sign so hard that it split the back of my head because of the concussion of hitting that DOT sign. So I had to get. I ended up going after I rode the motorcycle home. I ended up going to like a not the emergency room, but
Urgent care,
because one, concealed weapons permit, you know what I mean? Two, I'm on all this VA medication, you know, and I'm worried that, you know, they're going to Baker Act me. So I lie and say that a car just came out of nowhere and I had to veer off, and that's what happened. So I lied that lie for a long time. Hell, brother, I even went to our meeting. That day that it happened, I had a meeting that night with the organization at the American Legion, Mount Dora.
Okay.
So I walk in there and like my lip looked like JJ from Good Times. I mean, I'm just all beat up, man. And they're like, "What happened?" Like, "Oh yeah, some car cut me off." And as the meeting's going, everything is starting to swell up even more and more. You know what I mean? And I still didn't, you know. And
did you admit to your wife?
it took me months,
Sure.
you know, to come to.
And what were you doing with kind of, you know, since you were honest about it, what were you doing with the shame of that incident? Were you trying to tell yourself a different story and believe a different story, or?
No, I knew, well, I know it was going to come out soon enough. It was just that I needed to just be honest with him. And I believe I told my wife at first, and it was like, "Hey, just let you know, that incident that happened a couple months ago, come to find out, like, she thought that's what had happened."
Yeah.
How did she respond to you?
She knew. She was there during a lot of my dark times. Like, I've been curled up in a bathroom, bawling, like coming out of these night terrors, night sweats, and stuff like that. It was like, the medication did good, but it did a lot worse. It made things a lot visual. Like, my dreams came alive a lot more and a lot more often with these medications that were supposed to be deterrents from it. Because I used to get up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning out of a dead sleep and come out of a panic attack. Sheets would be soaking wet. Like, what just happened here, man? And I'm trying to get my balance and figure out where I am. Because you come out of something like that, it doesn't matter what kind of dream you're having, but you come out of a dream with a panic attack, you know what I mean?
It's very scary.
It's just like, what is going on? And man, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like you're drowning.
Yeah. But I thought that was all normal, man. I thought all those things were normal until I come to find out they weren't normal. You know what I mean? They were just being suppressed. And that's what we do in the military, because if something bad happens, you can't mourn. You can't be like, "Oh man, what happened?" You've got to move forward.
Yep.
He dies. Let's if we can help him, help him. If we can't, we've got to move on. So that's where my life kind of like is. I suppress everything because life has to move on. Life doesn't have time for me and my complaints and my needs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I have to take care of all that. So I just look at it as like, I'll take care of it when I take care of it.
From our conversations, it seems to me that COVID was kind of a big turning point.
Yeah.
For your organization.
Yeah.
A lot of people couldn't meet up anymore because of the strict regulations on meeting and distance with people and this and that. And you've seen kind of the effects of that as you guys couldn't meet up anymore. What was happening there, if you can describe it?
The organizations that had previously helped were also taking a beating as well. And it's so hard to know that, like, you really can't do anything because you can't be out soliciting for donations. And that's where I was really good at, was I would go and talk to these groups, whoever would listen to me.
Businesses and such, to try to drum up some funds to be able to support these organizations.
And it was all local organization, all veteran local, and 100% of the donations that we received went right back in because I had a job. I didn't need money. You know what I mean? Everyone that was in the organization, and we had no overhead.
Right.
You know, everything that we got was donated. You know what I mean? So like, you know, the flyers and anything that wasn't like my plaques. Like anytime you gave me a $50 donation, I'd go out and spend, you know, almost $50 on a plaque to say thank you out of my own pocket. You know, so the organization was good in that sense, but come around COVID time, not a lot of participation.
Yeah, I mean, these are some of the unintended consequences of shutting down a full society.
Yeah.
That, and I'm being generous maybe with the unintended, because they kept certain aspects of our society open that are bizarre to me, and then closed other ones.
Yeah.
And I think on some of the research we were doing in advance, I mean, COVID, you know, clearly if regular society's numbers went up in suicidality, the same thing happened in the veteran community. We've seen just these jumping numbers. Why? Well, because people aren't able to organize like they used to be.
Right.
It creates a purposelessness in life. And if there's nothing else going on, you can start having some more some of these desperate thoughts and desperate actions.
Yes.
Moving forward from there, you know, Jesus comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk to us about kind of how this relationship started with you and God? What was happening in your life at that time that had you moving in that direction? Obviously, you'd said previously in Korea you had a Bible, you read some of it, didn't really see yourself in it, put it down and walked away.
That's right.
What attracted you this time? What was going on?
This time going on was COVID allowed a lot of time to myself, you know, so we were quarantined a lot and I couldn't get out. So I started focusing on myself, started taking off the medications that I was on with the VA, all my psych meds. I just started on my own. I don't do this, but on my own, I just started, you know, like halving. But I was doing it too quickly, I think, and that's where I started not really spiraling out, but I started feeling like out of control again. Like I had all these mixed feelings going on, and I didn't know what to do with them. So a Friday night, I'd gone in my bedroom, and I had all this emotions, and it wasn't planned, but I got down and I started praying. More weeping than anything else. I started weeping of just looking at myself thus far. My
Is your
life.
Are you still with your wife
No,
at the time?
no. This is 2020, so I'm already separated or divorced. It's 2 years. We had gotten divorced maybe a couple months after the incident that had happened with me.
So you're in your room.
So I'm in my room and I stayed in there for 2 days. I fast for 2 days. It wasn't planned. I didn't even know anything about fasting at the time. You know what I mean? I didn't even know the Bible, but
what do these prayers sound like?
I'm just talking. When I say prayer, I'm just talking about things that, you know, that I'm just want someone to listen to. So when
That's what prayer is, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Very often we think of prayers like I have to say
the Lord's Prayer is what I
or
think. You know,
say
what I
this
mean?
magic spell with certain words, or like an incantation to get God to finally listen. And like true heartfelt prayer is just me crying out to God,
Pouring myself out.
I mean, we see that all through the Psalms with David just crying out to God.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
That's just a perfect example of what real prayer is, because
Yes.
God is relational, right?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, in Psalms, was it 78 verses of David in Psalms, something like that. But yeah, all through that whole time, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, it was reflecting on my life. It like went all the way back, like, you know,
It's all these chapters of your life.
Yeah, like, you know, like why did my mother not care for me? You know what I mean? Why did my dad kind of like somewhat abandon me in a younger age where, you know, he was doing all those things? Why did God put an abusive stepmother in my life? Why did I see the things that I saw in the military? Why did I see the things that I did in the sheriff's department?
This
Why
accumulation of things.
all, you know, just what did I do so wrong in my life that I'm you know what I mean, not Job, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But my mom takes her life on Mother's Day. My dad dies, you know what I mean, and I don't get to say goodbye to neither of them, you know what I mean. The worst is not even yet to come in my mind, because 2023 is one of the worst years that I believe in my life happened, and I'd already sought the Lord. I got baptized in 2009. I met her in 2009, and I got baptized because she was going to church, and I was like, I need to start going to church too. So, the pastor prays, if that sermon hit you, please come up, and, let's talk, I'd like to get to know you, put you on the roster. And I go up there and I'm saying, hey, I got your message. I understood it. I didn't know about it. I understood what he was talking about it because he had a great sermon, and he talked into it. And I went up there and he's like, I encourage you to get baptized, if the Lord was talking to you today. So I was like, oh, I'm definitely go down the lake, get baptized, all that, like I said, and I still didn't know who he was.
I think that is such an important thing. I think we've recently talked about this, where baptism and a relationship with God do not always go hand in hand. And it should. And that's what we're hoping for, is by you're now making a public declaration to dedicate your life to God. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes it's kind of like, it can be like a pigeonhole. Like his wife's going, the next step, if the pastor's telling you, well, here's the next step, is go do this baptism thing, and then you're going to be good, and you're going to keep coming. And I'm sure the pastor's thoughts on the whole thing were well-intentioned. However, not really knowing where his heart is and what's going on, and being a part of his experience, and then inviting him into this thing cannot lead to the conclusion that you're searching for there.
The problem is, if not done in progressive order, it leaves a person wondering, what did I even just do?
What would be a progressive order to it?
Well, when we see biblically, it's salvation. I'm choosing to walk with Jesus, and then I'm baptized as a representation to tell people that this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So teaching matters. And so in what happened to you in your experience it was an emotional reaction to what was going on, where I'm like, well, I want to fit in. This is the next logical conclusion, without explanation of what I'm even doing. Exactly. So then you go down to the water and you get baptized and you come out.
Yes.
And then I just go back on and live the life I had just been living, because I was never even explained what I'm even doing here.
Or experienced it.
Or really experience what it is. When you see people that give their lives over to Jesus and are baptized, as they come out of that water, there's an emotional response that very often happens, because they realize the symbolism of what I'm actually doing within this.
Yes.
I'm washing away the old sins, the old me. I'm now a new creation, right? This is our verse we have here. Those who are in Christ are a new creation. Old things have passed, new things have come. And so that me being washed by the water is that representation of it. And so consequently, you come out of that baptism, now what?
Unchanged.
Yeah.
Unchanged.
Exactly.
I love what I love about hearing your story, and I don't know if you've seen this, maybe you have, but like as I hear the progression of your story, just to see the glimpses of the timeline throughout your life, of these little sprinklings of Christ in your life. Here you are in the military, and a Bible shows up in your room.
Yeah. And
then you meet a woman who church is important to her, and you hear a pastor speak, and even though it wasn't done correctly, Christ is there. And so
that's right.
God gives us
these little seeds.
These seeds, right? And it's just this runway to where, like, I'm taking off and I'm finally coming to land on who Christ is.
Right.
And so what is now 2023? Right? You've had all this stuff happen to you. What happened in 2023 that you say is the worst period of your life?
Yeah. So it starts off with my friend that I met in middle school, Dan. I had known him for since...
Your whole life?
Yeah, my whole life. He had cancer in the lungs. And so he had gone through those stages, and it progressed faster than we thought. So we instead of putting him in hospice, and just stayed at his house, make him more comfortable. So 2003 started off with losing him. Watched him die I was there for the last 3 days of his life.
In those 3 days, was he clear of mind at all? Or was he pretty out of it?
I still have the text message from him. The third day was the last day that he had responded, and then after that, he had stopped. It had affected his vocals, so he couldn't talk. He text, but he was so weak at that time. You know what I mean? Like, he just bones, man. You know what I mean? His face started just sucking in, just
Hard.
It's hard, man. It's so hard knowing that, you know what I mean? Like, I have a picture of him and I when we first met-ish, you know what I mean, in middle school, that it's in a yearbook.
Young and full of life.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. I mean, we had full hair, you know what I mean? Just that 70s, 80s nice hair, man. Just, man, luxurious. And then to see him be in this stage and to know that, you know, like, we didn't spend a lot of time when I got back from the military. It was sporadic. And I felt bad that, you know, I wasn't always there for him, you know. But, you know, man, he still lived a good life. Mm-hmm. But it was, you know, it was still bad. That took a huge toll on me. Then I got Bell's palsy. For somehow I just
and that's paralysis on one side of
paralysis of the face.
Yeah, temporary.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help that, you know, I've had all these concussions, these TBIs in my head, you know what I mean? Because it does affect, you know, like when I had...
That's why you get the paralysis, is it's a brain injury.
Yes.
Our good buddy Nolan had Bell's palsy last year.
Yeah. So I'm by myself, you know, dealing with all this stuff. I'm living by myself. My daughter is in high school, you know, but she's driving. She has a full-time job, you know what I mean? So she bounces between my house and her mother's house, which is like, you know, 5-10 minutes away from one another. So I'm just dealing with life by myself, you know what I mean? And it's a very bad era to be in with anybody just by themselves and, you know, dealing with, you know, traumatic things of that nature where, you know, just a lot of heavy stuff is
feeling
going
hopeless.
on. So, I get that. And, then the service dog that I had since helping, was one of the organizations that I had helped was Service Dog for Patriots, a nonprofit in Gainesville, Ocala area and we've given like 5 service dogs to veterans that couldn't afford it through our, you know, the organization and the help of our community.
Yep.
And in return, she had found a sponsor for me to obtain a service dog. I lost him, and he had cancer as well, and I knew that was coming, but
that was your bro. That's your buddy. I have dogs. I freaking love my dogs.
Yeah.
My younger brother is a service member, and he has a service dog. His dog is his lifeline.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the bond my brother has with his dog is just
Yep.
Yeah. So
saved
just
his life.
it kind of like it just that year just felt like, you know, though my dad and my mom were, you know, a year and a half apart of checking out of this world, it just felt like the closeness that, you know, that I had bonded between my service dog and then my best friend of, you know, of all those years.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing on this earth, man? Like, I'm like, what am I doing here, man? Why am I here? Why are you keeping me here? Like, I'm seeing people that I've graduated with dying of cancer, you know, and it's just not, you know, natural, or not just, you know, at car accidents or, you know, incidents. It's just, you know, life is just getting old, and I'm just, you know, why? Why am I special? What puts something special on me? Why am I here and these guys aren't? It's not a survivor's guilt at all.
Yeah.
But it's just a question, and that's where I was like, I went to see a pastor at the First Baptist Church, or Bay Street Baptist Church in Eustis, sorry. And I just talked to him about what was going on. And he said, "You ever read the Bible?" And brought me back to Korea, and I was like, I picked it up once, and I read, Genesis, and it was just too deep for me. And so he's like, well, here's a Bible. I'm not going to tell you exactly what you need to read in it. I would, he called it the Second Testament. He doesn't believe in the New. He said there's only the first and the second. So
sure, no problem, man.
So he's like,
there you go.
So he's like, yeah, read. I would start in the Second Testament, and he said, Matthew, John, Luke, and Mark. But I still didn't. I still didn't get into it. He gave me the Bible. I went home, and I think I probably thought about it, but it wasn't until like 2003, 2004 that transition
24.
where I was thinking about killing myself again, because what I was going through outweighed this book.
Mm-hmm.
What was going on in my heart outweighed this book. There was just too much to handle. My daughter was going away for college that coming school year, so 2004 she'd going off to college. So I had that empty nest feeling, like my organization was coming to a stop. COVID just put a lot of things to stop, and it's just like, well, I don't have a place in life anymore. So I went to the gym, like I always do, but I never put two and two together. And I met David, a gentleman that ministers to anybody and everybody that will listen to him.
Sure will.
Shout out to David.
Yeah. And it wasn't what I expected. He came over and started criticizing me.
Your tattoos?
For my tattoos.
He's done it to me too.
He's like,
you call yourself a Christian? You got those tattoos?
Not knowing the state of mind that I was in.
Right.
And just come in there and just bash me about my, tattoos. Like, I don't know what your life consists of, but, the tattoos are sin. I'm
that's how he talks.
Bro, if you knew who you were talking to right now, man.
Yeah.
The state of mind I was in right now, man. Like, you would not say that, man. But I took it, man. I took his criticism, you know what I mean? And I was like, hey, man, it's just therapy for me. I've just been through a lot of stuff. And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, well. So I just started, shoveling things out of my chest and be like, hey, man, here's a little piece, here's a little piece. He's like, wow, man, I never knew that. He's like, I can understand. Though I would never get a tattoo, but I can understand where you're coming from. I never was in the military, though he wears camouflage pants all the time.
Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I assumed
I brought him in here just to tell you that. No, just kidding.
I had assumed that he was prior military because that's
the
all he
first sign
wore.
they've never been in the military is if a guy's wearing military pants.
I've brought him up in, I don't know, almost every single episode.
Oh, okay.
Not really, but I've brought it up frequently because, I mean, every aspect of him presents as if he's a retired military guy.
Oh, yeah.
From his truck that he drives in, his outfit, the way he walks, his attitude. But not that.
I would assume that he was like an officer or a very high-ranked non-commissioned officer.
Yep.
The way he holds himself and the way he structures himself, just very strict, straightforward, what I mean? Like, as soon as he goes in the gym, it's just like A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. I mean, everything. Until he starts talking to somebody, then it just
Falls apart.
Yeah.
So you start explaining yourself to him and what's going
Yeah.
on with you, and you're just honest.
Yeah, just
why not?
Just tell him exactly what's going on. He's like, well, I still wouldn't get a tattoo, but I can understand, why you would get them. And then he said, where are you with Christ? And I was like, I'm nowhere with Christ. He's like, do you know Christ? And I'm like, I know who Jesus is. Yes, I know the players, but I just don't know the story. He's like, do you own a Bible? You know what I mean? Do you own a Bible? Like, you looking
He's
at me
so
like,
direct.
do you own a Bible? Like, serious?
Yeah.
And I was like, actually, yes. I said, I just got my first Bible. Like, I have military Bibles throughout the house. You know what I mean? That I've collected, because anytime like we get deployed somewhere, we get a Bible, or just the chaplain's handing them out, man, like candy in the military. You know what I mean? So I have a stack of military Bibles that I've never cracked open. But this one, you know what I mean? This one was given to me directly because I was wanting to know.
Yep.
So I said, yes, I do have one. And I said, dude, what do you recommend, man? If you don't mind me asking. And he said, I would recommend going to John first and then go to Genesis. And I was like, oh. He's like, what? I told him the part. I was like, man, I just didn't get Genesis. He's like, no. He's like, you're 20 years younger or 20 years older now. He's like, what you thought about then and what you think about now are those totally different. He's like, go to John, read John, then, go to Genesis, Exodus. And you say from there, go back into the New Testament and read Matthew, Mark, and Luke, just to get a good basis of it. And so that's what I did. And I went home, I cracked it open, and I read all the way through John, nonstop, man. You know what I mean? And it's, now that I've finished the Bible and I've come to know who Jesus was and what Jesus went through, and all the similarities that the Bible has that just correlate, boom, 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 boom.
It helps to organize a confusing life.
It put a lot of things in perspective of what I missed out.
Yep.
And it's not all the good times, it's not all the party times that all the moments that I shared of loved ones. It's what I missed with Christ.
Yep.
That's my biggest guilt that I have now, is what I missed out on all this time that I
still
could have
feel
been.
guilt?
Oh man, every day.
Really?
Tell me about that.
Every day. I feel guilty because that I believe, even though how shall I read it? So I know the Bible says that, that as far as sins, not praying and not, seeking Christ, as a child, if you're not known about it, he kind of gives you a pass. Am I right? As being a child. Does Christ give those that are uninformed about him and they unexpectedly die? Are they still his children, though they don't know who he is? Because
there's nothing in the Bible that would directly state that. Historically, in tradition of the church, they would say age of accountability is what they would say. And so what is the age of accountability? But there's actually no verse in the Bible that actually directly talks about an age of accountability. What we would look at with that is that we have a fair and just God, is what we would say within that.
Okay.
But traditionally through history, as the church talks about it, that's the label they gave it, is the age of accountability.
Right. Well, because if you go in the Old Testament, families were cursed throughout generations. So, as being a child, even if you didn't know Christ,
really the curse was, like it talks about that in Exodus, the generational curse. But the curse, when we hear the word curse, we look at the word curse as like some sort of witchcraft, like I put some evil
hex or
something on it.
Yeah.
The curse it's talking about there is not knowing Jesus. Right. And so my dad was an alcoholic. And so you could take that verse, generational curse, and say, well, you're an alcoholic because your dad's an alcoholic. Like there's been a hex put on my family.
Right.
No, that's what was taught to me. So the curse was my family didn't know Jesus.
Okay.
That's what the curse is.
Was.
Well, even maybe better than that, or more descriptive of that, would be my grandfather was an alcoholic and left his son. My father became an alcoholic and left his kids. I became an alcoholic and left my oldest son. And that is a curse that continued being passed along in the sense of, I learned those behaviors from them. I committed the same acts. And that's where you get to have become, praise God, like I get to be, is like a curse breaker, a chain breaker, or a generational change agent.
Sure.
Where I get to now make different choices because Christ came into my life.
Yeah.
Now I've been, I've gotten my oldest son back. We have a relationship now. I have a new family now. I have a wife and another son, and we're living a different way than any generation prior to me has. And that is where Christ comes in, intersects, and just turns everything around and makes it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
tell me about this guilt, though. I want to pull on this thread with you here.
Yeah. So
how do you think God sees you in relationship with him today? Are you cleared of everything?
What do you mean?
I mean, you've prayed, you've asked Christ to be in your heart. You have a relationship with God now. Do you recognize that he's forgiven all the transgressions of your past?
I hope so.
He has.
Can I tell you a verse?
Sure.
You have your Bible?
Got it.
Let's just do it. Open up the Romans.
Got it. Actually, I'm funny.
Perfect. Look at that.
Chapter 8.
There is no coincidences in this world.
Yeah. 8.
Read verse 1.
So now there is no condemnation for those who belong to Jesus Christ.
Say that again.
So now there is no condemnation for those who belong to Jesus Christ.
Do you know what that verse means?
So he, if you believe, you are forgiven.
Yeah. There's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus.
Yeah.
So when I give my life to Christ, all that old junk that's in my past, Bible says he looks away from it as far as the east is from the west. He no longer sees the poor choices that you made in your life.
Right.
Which gives you the freedom to live a new life today.
Most definitely.
So we got to take that old, guilt and shame are tools of the devil.
Yep.
Because the devil wants you to walk around going, I'm a piece of crap.
And he wants you to regret the past. He wants you to live in that place where you go like, oh, God, I wish I would have brought you in earlier. I wouldn't have this, that, and the other thing. That's the devil.
Yeah, man.
Whispering that in your ear. That's not what Jesus wants for you.
Jonny said it just a second ago. The most important thing you can do is how does God see you today?
Yeah.
And he sees you as an heir. You're one with Jesus now. He's in your heart. His spirit is in you.
Yeah.
You're free from all those things. Now, we do go about trying to be better men today, and you do.
And that's where my guilt comes in, is I didn't know back then
But none of us
the
did.
things that I was doing. Now I do have a clear conscience of the things, and that's where I fall short every single day, because I try to be good and I know I'm failing. So there's, my regret is not being good enough.
Can I give you another verse to look up?
Who wrote Romans?
Paul
did.
Who was Paul? What did Paul do?
Paul was just like...
Killed Christians.
He was a murderer.
Yes.
The murderer.
He murdered Christians.
Yeah. Oh, Paul wrote 13 of them.
But Paul just wrote the thing you just read. There's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus.
Yeah.
So Paul, the guy who was murdering Christians, he was murdering Jesus's people. Stephen, one of the early Christian...
First martyr. Well, not the first, but...
One of the first martyrs in the Bible there, in the New Testament.
But let me say this. He was walking to Damascus, right?
Damascus,
excuse me. And Jesus came to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the bright light that blinded him for 3 days.
Yep.
Sure.
Jesus did not do that to me.
Nor me.
Nor me.
You know what I mean?
Nor
Like,
Felix, nor Andy.
but to correlate of going from, killing Christians,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, to all of a sudden just doing a 180, you know what I mean, and prophesizing Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's huge.
Sure.
Look what you're doing.
I mean, but that never happened as far as like that kind of a...
I think we're confused frequently on what we should be doing and how quickly we should be doing it. One of the things that's important to always point out in the Bible is we read a chapter and it takes us about 40 seconds or 2 minutes or 6 minutes to read that entire chapter.
Sure.
What's lost on us frequently is the time scale of that chapter. So a guy like Paul spent his entire life learning the Old Testament. He would take all those scripts and read them. He was taught by all these Pharisees at the time.
Had the Torah
he
memorized.
He was a well-learned man who was directing his energies towards God in the wrong direction. God then needed to step in, reorganize his attention, and refocus it towards the truth of who Jesus was.
Okay.
And he had already spent decades of his life investing in the education of God. He was just misdirecting it. God stepped in and helped him realign himself in the proper path he should be on.
Yeah.
And another thing that's important to point out is like all of his writings there in the time throughout Acts, that is decades of guys being fortified in the crucible of life to become the men that they became. You know, we see Peter, I'm saying all this because I think you need to hear this.
Okay.
We see Peter, who walked with Jesus every single day and then still denied him 3 times at the end of Christ's life. So I think you might be expecting a bit too much from yourself, good buddy.
Yeah.
Well,
I think life is hard and it takes time, and you're still in the learning stage. I'm still in the learning stage. We're still in the learning stage.
Yeah.
And you can't, I don't think, beat yourself up for a relationship you didn't have that you didn't even, know about.
Yeah.
Now you know, and it is easy to reflect back and go, gosh, my life could have been easier. Gosh, I could have made all these better choices.
Yeah.
But the reality is you didn't.
Right.
And what can you do today to empower the next guy that maybe is younger than you, who is struggling through these hard things, who maybe has done military service, and he's lost in this quagmire of confusion like you were, and he's starting to suffer with some things. I mean, and this is what you're doing. That's why I'm saying, like, what a neat deal. Right now, you're fortifying yourself. You're reading the Bible daily. You're getting in there and trying to understand who Christ is so that you can then have the answers later when you run into 10 years younger version of you.
Right. Yeah.
And it is about what you're doing today. It's not about what you did back there. God is constantly saying to us, why are you so worried about the future? Am I not providing for you today?
Right. Yeah.
And what are you doing about today's difficulties and today's this and that and the other thing?
let tomorrow worry about tomorrow.
Let tomorrow worry about itself.
Can you go to Ephesians in your Bible? Mm-hmm. I love what you just did there, man.
Yeah.
I hope you heard what he just said loud and clear.
Yeah.
You said something a second ago. Go to Ephesians chapter 2, and I want you to read verses 8 and 9. I want to help maybe clarify something that maybe you theologically I just want to help you with one thing.
It must be good because I highlighted it.
Read it.
God saved you by his grace when you believed, and you can't take credit for this. It is a gift from God. 9. Salvation is not a reward for the good things we have done, so none of us can boast about it.
Clarity of that message.
Yeah.
For by grace you are saved by faith. It's not by works. Why? So you can't boast about it. I think very often in the Christian life, when you come through what we've done, where we've made all these bad choices in the past, we feel like our faith requires us to do all this good in the future to outweigh all the bad we did.
Yeah.
That's not the gospel. You could work your whole entire life trying to earn God's favor. You can't earn God's favor. God loves you in the depths of all that darkness in the past. He still saw you and said, I love you.
Oh, yeah.
Also in the first piece
I
there,
believe
he's
that.
saying you were saved by God. So God had a timing on your life. I believe that.
Yeah.
God had a timing on your life for you to intersect with his love and to accept it into your heart. So even then to be going back in the past is to say somehow God's timing wasn't correct. And I don't believe that to be true. I believe God was working all these things through your path to the joint moment when you would be able to get in relationship with him, and then who knows what the possibilities are from there. Now he's fortifying you in his word. Now he's helping you to understand him better so you can be more effective in the future. I think all the things you've went through, the accumulation of things, though many horrible things have happened and you've seen and been a part of, I think all those things help sculpt you to be the man that God's going to need you to be. Just like Paul was learning all these techniques from these great people of his time, he was misdirecting them. And I think all your bad experiences maybe are going to help you in the future on God's path to intersect with other people that are struggling with some of those things, because you'll have the experience. You go, hey, here's this scar on my arm. I know exactly how that feels. That thing sucks.
Yeah.
Here's the scar on my heart.
Yeah.
And I know what that feels like. And you can be in those spaces with those people, and you have the joy and the power of God in you to be able to hopefully, impact them and help them to meet the same Jesus that's freed you from the spiral you were on,
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy, because I wish I had known him, and that's part of some of the regret that I have is I wish I had known him sooner, because especially during, and I apologize, I had gotten off track, but when I started that mission of my organization, it was ruck marching 22 miles through each city of Lake County. So every Thursday I ruck march, with 150 pounds of, my bag, American flag, and I'd just walk 22 miles throughout that city.
Mm-hmm.
The first city that I started was Leesburg, and there was a gentleman that apparently had been following me for quite some time in his car, and I didn't know what his deal was, but I seen him there when I took breaks. But he finally confronted me, I don't know, a couple miles down the road, and he said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So we get together, and he tells me that he had lost his job, he had his wife divorced, lost his kids, living out of his car. He gave me a crisp $100 bill after telling him what I was doing, of course, and why I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me a crisp $100 bill, and he said, "I want you to take this." I'm like, "Bro, I can't take. Why are you giving me? You're homeless. You live in your car. You need gas, brother."
Mm.
I was going to use this $100 bill, and this is a true story. I was going to use this $100 to buy alcohol, and I was going to kill myself.
Yep.
I need you to take this $100 bill. My wife was there. I mean, I'm not there with her anymore, but she was there to see it all go down.
Yeah.
And that was the first interaction. And I wish I knew Christ when my best friend died.
You know what?
I mean? I wish I
probably
could
wouldn't have been able in this point in time in your life to receive it.
Yeah, I mean, that's such the key thing to these verses that we're pointing out to you.
Man, I didn't
it's
think
like
about
your
that
heart
either,
had to be ready, man.
Yeah,
And
I'd gone through all the steps, but they, like baptized 2009. Like I didn't start the organization until 2014.
I had a very bad drug and alcohol addiction, and I went to multiple different facilities to try to stop drinking and drugging. Oh. And I told myself every single day I was going to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Why do I bring that up? Because until I was actually in a position to be right, to be able to accept the truth of my addiction,
Wow, yeah,
I couldn't start doing anything in a different direction of it. These were places that I was forced to go to, whether not by not by gunpoint or something, but like, and court wasn't even interactive. It was just like my family would be like, "You need some help. We're going to get you into this treatment facility." Yeah. Okay. And I'd go, but I wasn't there, man. My heart wasn't in it. There was a part of me that wanted to stop because the cycle was awful, but like, I really wasn't committed.
yeah.
And I think that's why we kind of pointed out the order of operation to getting baptized. For a second there, we sidelined that, was because if your heart's not really there, and that's why so many, like our church has an order of operations that you go through that kind of is, it kind of determines, does Keith really fit these specificities that would then, that he's in this relationship with God, or is this just some motions that he thinks he needs to take? And it kind of helps you decipher those things.
Your church is looking at the person, not the number.
All
My church was a number.
Before we're even when you're in the tank with the pastor, before they even baptize you, he asks you the question, have you put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ as your Savior?
Yes.
Before you even get to be baptized. It's a teaching moment. It's a guideline for us, is that the reason why you're doing this is because this is the decision that you have made first.
Right.
But as I just said to you, very often when we look at our calling, like, look, Paul was following God his whole entire life. He wasn't ready to receive God until he had this series of events happen in his life. So Jesus could have came to him earlier, but maybe he wouldn't have received him at that point in time. So sometimes we have to look at the timing of the call of our salvation. It's all in God anyways.
Yeah.
So you can do that your whole life, look back and go, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Maybe I'd still be married. Maybe I had a better relationship with my daughter. Maybe I could have shared my faith with my dad. All the list of things that you shoulda, coulda, would have done, but that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
And so we have a choice, is that I can stay stuck in that past my whole life, or I can look to the future. What can I do for God today?
Right.
And then we change our mind. We talk about it in here all the time, having an eternal perspective. What can I do with the rest of my life to finish my life well?
Yeah.
And it's not anything that I can earn. I'm not doing all this so God looks at me and goes, I love you more.
Yeah.
That's not why we're doing it. I'm doing it now because of the gift that God gave to me through Jesus.
Yeah.
That's why I give my life away.
It's the overflow and abundance of what he's done for me that makes me want to go reach others that are hurting, because I go, yo, I've been there.
Yeah.
And I know what it feels like to have a panic attack. I know what it feels like to just be in the cycle of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
I know what it feels like to feel like I want to just end it all because I'm tired and I'm just ashamed. And I feel like nobody would miss me when I'm gone.
Yeah.
I know those feelings. So I'm able to go out to people that have those feelings and go, I have an answer for you. And I don't even approach it that way. That's the thing. That's part of this training thing, is as you get to learn more about Christ, he's going to help you to fortify the tools you'll need to be effective in those times. Because it's not always like, hey, go read your Bible and talk to Jesus. Though that worked for you because God's timing's perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what you needed to hear that day from Dave at the gym, right? Yeah. But like for other people, for me, it was a compassionate moment from an older man who I'd come to respect that asked me a series of questions that really forced me to face what I needed to face in the time, and to be able to make some dedications in my heart. And those things helped sculpt and change my perspective to be able to receive Christ at the time. Wow. And even through that, it's like initially I'm shaking guys at the rehab place going, wake up, do you know that there's Jesus and he'll help you? And they're going, get out of here, you spooky, crazy guy. Oh, you're the worst. I was annoying, And over time now, being in the Word and being in relationship with my Christian brothers, it's helped me to realize what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And really, this one always impacts me so much. Jesus, when he's talking to Peter, and he goes, Peter, do you love me? And Peter goes, Father, I love you.
Of course.
And he goes, feed my sheep. And that, he says it 3 times. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's some reflection in there to Peter's 3 rejections. But I think the bigger piece that my heart takes from that is like, feed my sheep means meet my people where they're at, in their pain. And sometimes they're hungry.
Yes.
It might be a homeless guy in the street and he's hungry. And we just need to get him a meal. It's not, hey, you need to start reading Jesus. He's the bread of life. Mm-hmm. You're actually hungry, man. Yeah. Why don't we go over to Burger King? I'll get you a burger and some fries and a shake or something. And let's talk about what's going on in your life that you're out here on the street.
Yeah.
What's that look like? What's your story? Yeah. And then meeting him there next Thursday, and maybe for the next 15 Thursdays. And then maybe it's the 16th time I go. He goes, why are you here all the time, Jonny? And I go, because Jesus was here for me.
Yeah. Amen.
And he goes, wow, you're different. I want that different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
So I think if we can encourage you in anything, it's to drop. And it's not easy, man. I know it. I feel it sometimes too. So I'm not pretending like I live in this bubble of like, now I still struggle with the decisions I made in the past, and you're going to too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the reality is I turn to those passages and I read them again, and I go and I pray about them. And I go, God, you said these things are true, and I don't want to feel this way. But they're true. And I keep telling myself they're true because they are.
That Romans 8:1, what's really beautiful about that verse, the very first word is therefore.
Yeah.
And anytime there's a therefore in the Bible, you have to read what was said beforehand. Yeah. It was Romans 7. What do we know about Romans 7? It's Paul wrestling with his life going, why do I do the things that I don't want to do? And the things that I don't want to do are the things that I continue to do. This is Paul.
Yeah.
Now, some people say he's talking about before he's a Christian. It's not. If we look the way Romans was written as a letter, Paul is laying out the method of salvation, how we're all sinners. The wages of sin is death. And then he goes on to talk about
the struggles
of his life. And then he says, therefore, what he comes to the result of all that is that there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So I don't have to continue to live in that wrestling. I know that I'm going to wrestle. I'm going to wrestle my whole entire life. Yeah. It's in the wrestling that I know that I'm a follower of Christ. When I stop wrestling, that's when I have to be worried about it, man.
Gosh, that's it.
Yeah. I think that the organization felt like that's something that, that I would, if I was, had known Jesus better, that'd have been a perfect fit because I was, helping others, those that needed,
You still helped others.
Right. But as you said, God didn't give you or God didn't grant you that time to get to know him. So it took to a point where I was, at that point where I had nobody in the house.
Rock bottom, we call it.
I was, I had nothing else to do but time.
Yep. And he met you there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
but now the skills that you've acquired that helped you to start the organization, you did those things then without Jesus. Imagine what you can do now with him.
Come on.
And that's where I'm at.
So-
I'm at that point where I'm like, where do I go? Like, if I had known Jesus and then started my organization, that'd been great. But now I'd started an organization without Jesus. Now I get to know him personally. Like, I get to spend as much time as I want with him every single day. And I set out to do the things. I fast. I pray. I give money to the elderly, to the poor. I donate my time to the Kiwanis.
Yep.
I keep myself physically fit.
Yep.
That's what I'm supposed to do.
This is your prep time.
But, like,
you're getting ready.
Exactly. Like, what?
So what's the next thing?
Exactly.
Start
And
praying about
that's where I'm at.
This
like,
is where you start asking God. Now this is the
where am I at,
intentionality of
man?
your prayers.
Yeah, brother, and that's it. And I tell you, that's so funny you bring that up, because that's the number one thing that I had asked for, and he has given me that, because I used to have zero patience, and now I can buy something and accidentally break the pot glass topper on my floor and be like, oh man, that sucks.
And be okay with it.
And to be okay with it. Like,
Yeah.
anything has gone wrong, I've come to find out that I have great patience, even when talking to people.
It's one of the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah.
That's it. Right?
Talking to David at the gym, I have grown patience.
You, well, you need
And
a lot of patience.
self-control.
And that's where I struggle as well, because as becoming, if you really, I personally want to take this serious, so like I got rid of all the porn. I don't, but I still struggle with sexual desires.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And it's,
I met a
like,
guy the other day at my gym. He's 70 years old.
yeah,
Uncle Sam. I love this guy.
yeah,
And I just walked up to him and I said, "Can I ask you a question? Is there ever a time, do you reach a certain age when you can come in this place and not struggle?" And before I even said struggle, he goes, "Nope,
that's heartwarming,
nope."
comforting to know.
He goes, "I think as men we're going to struggle with that temptation our
Yeah.
whole entire life." But he's the one that said to me, "Because I struggle, it's how I know I love Jesus."
Yes.
There you go.
Right?
Nice.
And so he looked at me and he grabbed me by the shoulders and he goes, "So I'm going to struggle and you're going to struggle and we're going to continue to struggle together and just point our feet towards Jesus, and we're going to have victory some days and we're going to fail some days. And when I fail, I'm going to repent. I'm just ask God to come in and help me, and I'm going to move on, and I'm not going to live
Right,
because there's no condemnation for those who don't. So I'm not going to live there.
right.
But it does mean I have to. Paul tells us at the end of 1 Corinthians chapter 16, it's this bracelet that I'm going to get you one before we leave here.
it.
And it says, "Be on your guard. Stand firm in the faith.
Nice.
Be strong.
Be strong.
Act like men.
Yes,
And then do everything in love."
yes,
But he tells us we have to be on our guard. So I know my sinful proclivities, and so do you.
yeah,
And so when we know where our sin issues are, we have to be on our guard.
yeah,
We have to work harder.
yeah.
And it's not working because I'm trying to earn anything from God, but it's because God calls me to be obedient. First Peter tells us, "Be holy, for I am holy." Yes. Holy is not perfection, right? It's a striving after is what that is. So you're going to work on those things your whole entire life.
Now,
Have some
yeah.
peace and patience in that, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like, generally we close the episode and we're reaching the end here.
Yep.
With what do you see in the future? But it seems like we've kind of unpacked some of those things. It sounds like the steps that you're taking, being in the Bible daily,
yeah,
really fortifying your body, fortifying in the Bible also is going to help fortify your mind. My passage, it's on my arm, 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "If any man is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new." And that to me is always talking about the renewing of self. So the more I'm in the Bible, the more God is renewing and fortifying me into this new body.
Sure.
And this new person and this new mind.
Okay.
So as you're in the Bible, that's going to be happening for you. I look forward to seeing, the history that you've had,
Yeah.
where that now intersects with this relationship with Christ and what you're going to be capable of. Because your story has so many different aspects of it that could be helpful to so many people that are going through hard things. And it's like, yeah, you had an organization at this point in time and it had to be shut down because of governmental stipulations. And you've kept it closed for a while as you've developed this tightness with Christ. But I think he's got great plans for you.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I think that as you continue to be in his word and to accept his truths and you become more knowledgeable in it, you're just going to have a bigger tool belt to be the actual helpful guy that you always wanted to be. You're going to be more helpful. And you're going to lead people, again, this eternal mind. You're not just going to help people here. You're going to lead them into salvation in Christ for eternity.
Right.
Like, how huge is that?
Yeah.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Man, I just want to thank you so much
Yeah, I
for taking
appreciate
the
it.
time
I
today
appreciate
to-
the fellowship because that's exactly what I need. I need more fellowship because
We all do.
I can't learn this on my own.
Nope, you weren't supposed
You know,
to. We
so-
talk about discipleship and mentorship in here all the
Yes.
time, man. You need to have an older brother ahead of you that knows the Word of God,
Right.
that you can call and ask questions to, and that remind you of these things, man. It's if we don't have people discipling us, and we're not discipling people at the same time. That's how the Christian faith was moved forward. Remember, they didn't have the first, second, third century. We didn't have the printing press up until
Oh, yeah, sure.
1500, right?
Right, yeah.
And so it was orally given. They had copies, but it was taught by older men to younger men, and then younger
Right.
men had taught it to younger men, and that is how the tradition of the church moved on.
Yeah.
We have to continue that role. If not, the church dies.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. This is my good friend, Keith Totten. We appreciate his time. Guys, thank you for joining us. If there's anything in your life that you're struggling with, we have an email you can hit us up with. We'd love to pray for you or step in any way we can. You can reach us at updpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website, updpodcast.com. You can reach out to us there too. There's a link. And you can kind of interact with us. We're trying to build a community here where people can express their ideas. If there's anything you heard in here about his story that you reflect on, comment that. Let us hear what you think. Was there any experience you've had? Things that have been helpful for you? Did you serve in the military? We'd love to give you some thanks for doing that. Guys, again, untrained philosophical discussionists, Jonny Hanson, Andy Lamb. We just want to pray that you have a deep and a fulfilling relationship with Jesus, and that he blesses you all the days of your life.
And all God's people said,
They said amen.
Amen. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate you,
Thank
man.
you guys.
Appreciate you,
Appreciate it,
bro.
man. Thank you very much.